Hello, and let us start our fourth lecture. Before starting, let me make a comment. I told you yesterday that you should calculate the second order correction to energy and eigenfunction and then try to generalize it to any other order. But I already received queries from some of you who said that the calculation is done and you want answers to the problem that I have asked you to solve. So I postpone my earlier plan of discussing some of the problems that you can handle in perturbation theory, non-degenerate time independent perturbation theory, and instead discuss the second order correction and generalization of it to some higher order today. So for that, again, let us write down or let us recall with the perturbative expansion that we had written. So this we will be writing many times, so don't get bored, simply because this will be our bread and butter for next few days. So this was the expansion of the eigenstates, which we wrote as lambda to the power m nm, and this m should run from 0 to infinity. And similarly, we also had expanded En. Everything was a function of lambda En0 plus lambda En1 plus lambda squared En2 and so on. So this also should be an infinite series, lambda to the power m En m. And remember, this is again to remind you that this m that is there in this superscript denotes the order of perturbation. Okay, and then the equation that we were interested in was basically this: h as a function of lambda acting on n is equal to En as a function of lambda acting on the same n, where of course you know h was nothing but the unperturbed Hamiltonian plus the small parameter lambda times the perturbation h1. This is what we already have encountered. And also, let me just remind you, although we have not explicitly written this lambda while denoting this kate, but remember on the very first day we had written this thing and then said that this we will be writing always as kate n. So we are still following that same notation. Now let us write down the equation by substituting the series and try to generalize to kth order, say, in perturbation. So what should we do? We should take this equation and let us write this as h naught plus lambda h1 acting on n is equal to En lambda acting on n, and we can write everything on one side of this equation. We will write it as h naught minus lambda h1 minus En lambda acting on kate n is equal to 0. This is what our time independent Schrodinger equation is. Let us number this equation. And now we should expand it out, keeping in mind that we are trying to collect the coefficients of lambda to the power 0, lambda to the power 1, lambda squared, and so on. So this step we have done many times, but since we are new, you are also new to this type of calculations, I am probably repeating a few number of times, but there is no harm in repeating these steps because this is what you have to use in future in many calculations. So we have this h naught plus lambda h1 minus en lambda. We will use this series expansion here. Instead of en lambda, we will write en0 minus lambda en1 minus lambda squared en2 so minus the higher order terms in lambda, and then instead of this ket n we will also expand it as ket n0 plus lambda times ket n1 plus lambda square times ket n2 plus higher order terms. This is equal to 0. So what we have done is that we have taken this equation, and in this equation we have put these series expansions that are written here. Now let me collect few terms from here. Let me collect lambda to the power 0 order terms. So this is h naught minus en0. This is the lambda to the power 0th order term minus lambda. What will remain here is basically en1 minus the perturbing Hamiltonian h1. This comes from this term and this term, and both of them acting on ket n0. Then what will happen if we take into account the lambda squared order terms? There we will see so what we are doing is here actually we are taking this part only and we are collecting the separate lambda to the power 0, lambda to the power 1 and lambda square type order terms. So lambda square will only contain en2, and then in this manner if we go along, then the kth order term will simply be lambda to the power k enk, and then this will be acting on ket n0 plus lambda ket n1 plus lambda square ket n2 like this is equal to 0. So here it looks a little bit complicated, but we have done this previously. And remember, here also introduction of this parameter lambda helps a lot. The left hand side is a polynomial in lambda. The left hand side here, this is the whole left hand side of this equation. This is a polynomial in lambda and it should vanish. That's what this equation is telling. What does this mean? This means that all the coefficients of different powers of lambda should vanish. So if all the coefficients of different powers of lambda needs to vanish, then let us better calculate all the different coefficients from this equation of lambda to the power 0. So let us take this lambda to the power 0 terms. Lambda to the power 0 terms. So the lambda to the power 0 term was trivial. If you remember, it was just h0 minus en0 acting on this ket n0, because there is no other lambda terms than other than lambda to the power 0, and this was the trivial one which you already knew. Then if you actually take into account lambda to the power 1 term, what you will get, you see that here there is this lambda to the power 1 term sitting. So this will give us something like this h0 minus en0 when acting on this lambda ket n1, this will give us h0 minus en0 ket n2, and the other lambda term will come from this when this operates on this ket n0. So we can take it on the other side because the right hand side is always 0. So this is This should be written as En1 minus H1 acting on ket N0. This was the lambda to the power 1 term which you had already calculated. Now let us look at the say lambda to the power 2 or lambda square order term. So lambda square order term, what are there? So lambda square order term, we have this H0 minus En0, this term getting operated, this term getting operated on this N2, ket N2, and this is going to give us H0 minus En0 ket N2. This being equal to, what are the other lambda to the power 2 terms? One term will come from this acting on this ket N1 because there is one single lambda here and there is another lambda there. So this is going to give us, if I take everything to the right hand side, this is going to give us En1 minus H1 ket N1, and the other lambda square order term should come from this acting on this N0 term, ket N0 term. So this will give us lambda squared, we are not writing the lambda squared here. So this will simply be En2 acting on ket N0. So these are the different equations. Let me number these equations. Let us number this 2, this is 4, and this is 3. Okay. Now you can actually rearrange this thing, but we will do the rearranging later. So in this manner, if we go ahead, and if we want to look at the lambda to the power kth coefficient, what should we get? You see, again, you look at this equation. This is the very important equation in this context. So you look at this equation, there are two parts, one containing this and then this thing operating on this second part. So if you want to look at the lambda to the power kth term, then we will have this H0 minus En0 acting on this lambda to the power. So let me write this extra term here. In this manner, if we go ahead, there will be a situation when we will have a lambda to the power k nk, this type of term, and also this series will go on. So if this first term on the left hand side, H0 minus En0, acts on this ket nk, that will give us the first term in the lambda to the power k coefficient. So this is going to give us H0 minus En0 acting on nk, ket nk. Then as we are following a particular form, we will write everything on the right hand side. Then which other terms will be giving us lambda to the power k order term? Exactly when this term operates on the previous term of lambda to the power k. That means here there is one power of lambda, and just the previous term of this one should be lambda to the power k minus 1 n ket nk minus 1. So together we will get a term which will be En1 minus H1 acting on ket nk minus 1. So that will be on the, if I write it on the other side, right hand side, this minus sign will change to plus, and we will have this term En1 minus H1 acting on nk minus 1 ket. Then similarly, if we have this other term, say lambda square En2, the previous to this term will be lambda to the power k minus 2 nk minus 2, and that will also give us a lambda to the power kth order term, and therefore we will have En2 ket Nk minus 2. In this manner, everything will go ahead and go on, and finally, okay, I should have written more terms here. Finally, you see that when this lambda to the power k Enk comes, it will give you a lambda to the power kth order term when Enk is acting on or multiplied on N0 ket. So the last contribution will come from Enk ket N0. So that's it. So this, let us number this equation 5. Now you can actually check this. So this is the most general term or the kth order term that you have with you. You can check this by suitably choosing k, that you are getting these equations 2, 3 and 4 by simply putting k to be 0, 1 and 2 respectively. So each equation is the condition. So this is where you have to generalize, and I am generalizing this by making this following statement, that you look at these equations and you can notice one simple fact, that each equation basically is the condition that the coefficient multiplying the power of lambda indicated to the left side, that means here with this double line. So here we are actually writing all the different powers of lambda, and the corresponding equation we are writing here. So basically each equation is telling you the condition that the coefficient multiplying the power of lambda, that is being indicated here, here, here and here, basically vanishes. That power is reflected as the sum of the superscripts on each term, which we had written here in the RHS. You look at this thing, we have two terms here, we have a single term here, we have k number of terms here. So whenever we have taken the lambda to the power k coefficients, there are k number of terms on the right hand side. Now at each stage you also have to notice, so this first equation is already known because H0 is given to you. It's a known Hamiltonian, so you know its spectrum completely, you know what are ket N0. But at each stage after this, only two quantities are unknown. That is, one is a state correction, which we have denoted by N, ket Nk, and an energy correction, which we have denoted by Enk. So in this particular equation, therefore, Enk is unknown and Nk is unknown, but because we are coming by following a recursive process, all the other quantities like Nk minus 1, Nk minus 2, En1, En2 and En, the previous one should be Enk minus 1, all these quantities are known. So basically that means once this is known, this solution, once it is known, you can calculate the solution here by using these solutions. Once this solution that of this equation, that means essentially once you know what are the n1s and what are the en1s, you can actually calculate what are the sorry, I think I have wrongly written here. Yeah, of course it is wrong. It should not be n2, rather it should be n1. This was wrong, sorry. Yeah. So once you know the solutions of once you know the eigenstate and the eigenenergies in equation 2, you can use those to figure out what are En1 and ket N1. Once you know what are En1 and ket N1, you can use those here to figure out what are En2 and Kten2. And in this manner, just the previous to equation 5, if you know nk minus 1 and enk minus 1, then all the other quantities are already known by using these equations. So everything is known. What is unknown at this stage here are enk and Ktenk. So now let us look at the lambda square and lambda k order connections in a general form. Explicit calculations I will show for the lambda square case only. The lambda to the power k case, still I ask you to do it. I mean, you will not get any insight. It's just for fun. You can try to figure it out. Okay. So let us therefore take, if we want to look at the lambda square order correction, let us take this equation 4. So let us take this equation 4 and let us calculate using this equation 4. So we are trying to calculate the second order correction to energy and states or the wave functions, whatever. So this is what we are going to do now, and for that we are starting with this equation. Now, as has been done previously, the case when we solved for En1 and Kten1, what we did there was we had taken this equation and then we have operated with bra n0 both sides of this equation. So we will have H0 minus En0 acting on Kten2, then we will have N0, and then this will actually be operating upon En1 minus H1 Kten1 plus En2 Kten0, like this. But now you already know that this H0 will act on bra N0 to give you En0 times bra N0. So that is going to give you like N0 En0 minus En0. That means this right hand side term immediately vanishes. So this is 0. What happens to the left hand side scenario? Left hand side scenario is also interesting because you see there will be a term like En1 is a number. So En1 doesn't stay there, it comes out, and what remains is Kten0 bra N0 Kten1. Then we will have N0 H1 Kten1 plus En2 Kten0 bra N0 Kten0. Now we recall that earlier in the previous class we have used this orthonormality condition. That means this was 0. We had given an argument, and because of that we have seen that there is no part or no component of this Kten1 which is along the direction of N0. So we have shown that, and we are going to use the same thing here. Therefore this Kten0 bra N0 Kten1, this inner product vanishes. Since the unperturbed states are normalized, this is 1. Therefore what you are ending up with is nothing but 0 is equal to minus N0 H1 N1 plus En2, as simple as that. This immediately tells you that your En2 should be equal to N0 H1 N1. So of course remember, when you calculated the first order correction to the energy En1, it was coming out to be N0 H1 N0. That means it was the expectation value of the perturbation Hamiltonian in the unperturbed state. But now what you are getting some off diagonal matrix elements of this perturbing Hamiltonian H1 as the second order correction to the energy, exactly, yeah. So to the second order correction to the energy, we are getting this result. So now essentially the statement therefore should be the second order correction, second order correction to the energy is determined if we have the first order correction to the state, that is if we know Kate N1, which I already have, and we also note that this expression that I have written here is not explicit enough to manifest that En2 is real, because at this stage there is no way to guarantee that this En2 is real, because this is just a matrix element which can also be complex. So looking at this, I cannot say that the second order correction to energy is a physical one, namely it is a real value that you can get just by looking into it. So we need to do something more. Now before doing this something more, let me take the equation 5 and again do the same process. That means we take equation 5 from above and we operate from left hand side of this equation 5 by bra N0. If you do that, what we will get? We will get something like N0. Then on the right hand side we had H0 En0 Nk, that is for sure. We have to look at what other terms are there. Yeah, so this one, the right hand side we had En1 minus H1 Nk minus 1. So this Kate N0 acts on En, the first correction of energy, minus the perturbing Hamiltonian Kate Nk minus 1. And then I know what it is. This is nothing but En2 Kate Nk minus 2. So this is En2 Nk minus 2. It will go ahead like this till it reaches Enk N0 Kate. Okay, so that's it. So now again, for the same reason that I have just described, when this H0 acts on bra N0, it will give you En0, and therefore the right hand side is 0, and we will have minus, and again we will use the orthonormality of these things. That means, let me write it once and for all, that we remember that this was 0, N0 Kate N2 was 0. In fact, all these such terms, all these are zeros. Okay, so this finally will lead us to, therefore this N0 En1 Nk minus 1 is going to be 0. So we will have N0 H1 Nk minus 1, and then Again, when this N0 operates on this Nk minus 2, that also becomes 0. The only thing that remains non-zero because of normalization of N0 to unity is this term Enk. Bra N0 K N0, this inner product is 1. So therefore, another very important result which you must have guessed by now, there is no surprise in it because you have calculated the first order as well as the second order correction so far. So from there you could have inductively calculated what is the kth order correction, and the kth order correction is this. At any stage that therefore of the recursive solution, the energy therefore at a fixed order is known if the state correction is known to previous order. That's what you are just seeing now. So I will not do anything else about calculating this kth order correction because it will become very cumbersome at this stage. I don't want to go into that details in the class. Some of you have done this calculation and one of you actually have sent it to me. I will check those calculations, but others can try, but it will just be a fun. Okay, so you can try it. What I will do instead is that I will explicitly calculate the second order correction to energy, that means this, as well as the second order correction to the state. So if you take this equation of En2, N0, H1, N1, so calculation of En2 or the second order correction. So that was En2, which we just have seen is N0, H1, N1. But we already know N1. What is N1? What was the first correction to the state? So if you recall from the previous class, I recall it, it's very easy to remember. In the denominator there was this level differences, En0 minus say Ek0, and on top of on the numerator we had the matrix element K0, H1, N0, and then we had this kth unperturbed eigenkth. That was what we already calculated in the previous class. So what we are going to do now, and remember here n was not equal to k. So what we are going to do now, we are going to explicitly substitute this expression of n1 in here. So what we will get, it is very trivial. Let me write it, n0 h1, then this summation should be there, which is k0 h1 n0 by en0 minus ek0 k0. So as you can see that, and everywhere we will use and we will remember that k is not equal to n, otherwise we will be in trouble because we have in the denominator en0 minus ek0, which will become 0 if n is equal to k, which we do not want. So now I can write this by including all these terms inside. See, what is this object? What is this object? This is a matrix element. So what is this matrix element? It is just the matrix element of the perturbed Hamiltonian in the unperturbed basis, because both are these unperturbed eigenstates. Therefore it is just a number. Therefore this bra n0 and this operator h1 should directly, this whole quantity should directly come here. So what we will have? We will have k0 h1 n0 and then this n0 h1 k0 divided by e n 0 minus e k0. That's it. Now what are these objects? These objects are sometimes written, because these are matrix elements, are sometimes written like this. This is written as H1 Nk component in the component notation. This object is written as H1 Kn. Just like when you write down any matrix, you write it as A, but if you want to denote any of the matrix elements, you write Aij. Exactly same thing here. Therefore, it should be written as k not equal to n. This is H1 Kn, the first term, H1 Kn. Second one is H1 Nk. That has to be, because if there is n here in this position, this should come with another n. So that's correct. If we are multiplying two matrices, this has to be checked, and in the denominator we have En0 minus Ek0. But this is nothing but H1 Nk star, so I can as well write it as mod of H1 Kn squared divided by En0 minus Ek0, right? So this is the result of second order correction to the energy. In fact, in many books they also write with a minus sign, with this one changing to Ek0 minus En0 and H1 Kn mod squared. So both notations, if you see, don't get afraid, because look at the denominator, then that will explain from where this minus sign in front is coming. Therefore, to second order in energy, we should write it as En0 plus lambda H1 Nn plus lambda squared H1 Kn mod squared divided by En0 minus Ek0. So this is up to second order. Then there will be terms, higher order terms. And what was this Hnn? It was, if you remember, it was N0 H1 N0. So it was a matrix element, diagonal element. So this was the expectation value. So let me box this thing. This one is also another important result. So once you have done this, again you should note that the validity of the perturbation scheme depends on whether or not the off diagonal elements, that means this one here, off diagonal elements of this perturbing Hamiltonian are small compared to this Ek0 minus En0, that is the level splittings of the unperturbed Hamiltonian. This is very important for the perturbation series to hold. Now let us look at the state corrections. So what about Ket N2? That is the second order correction to energy eigenstates. So again we can start with this equation. This everywhere, every time you start with this calculation, you have to always start with this lambda square order terms, or whatever order you want to calculate. So again we start with this. So let us paste it here and let us see what we can do with this. So at the very beginning, what I can do is that I will write everything by operating this thing on the Kets. So this is going to H0 N2, and I will take all the operators in one side. That means H0 and H1 I should bring to the left hand side just for simplicity. So on the right hand side we had H1 N1, so I have taken it to the left hand side, and everything else I have put onto the right hand side of the equation. So the first one is En0 acting on N2, and then second one is En1 acting on N1 plus En2 acting on N0. Now it is clear how a general kth order perturbation should look like. I mean, just to bring that discussion again, it's going to involve all states, say nk, kth nk down to N0. You look at this right hand side. The right hand side of this equation contains all states up to nk starting from kth N0, and it will involve all the energy contributions from En0 to Enk. You see, exactly, there is this En1, then En0, then there is En1, then En2. So everything should be involved. So if we just generalize this thing to kth order, then on the right hand side you should expect that the terms from starting from En0 to Enk should be there, and also the states should also be like starting from Nk to N0, kth N0 should be there. So one can easily guess the general pattern and write that down. But let us actually again restrict ourselves to lambda square, and also since we are dealing with the non-degenerate case, we will work when k is not equal to n, and we will write this thing as H0 minus En0. Now I go back to the standard form. Here I just have kth N2, and I operate by bra K0 and take all these terms together. So I will have one H1 acting on N1, so K0 H1 kth N1, and then I will have minus, let me see what we have, so En1 K0 N1, and this is going to give us En2 K0 N0. But now we have used the fact that k is not equal to n. 0 does not matter. 0 is just telling us the unperturbed, it is the unperturbed eigen state. So k not equal to n means that in the unperturbed basis it should have given delta kn, but since k is always not equal to n, k0 n0 should always be 0, because k is equal to n is not acceptable. So the right hand side of this equation becomes 0. So what we have here is very trivial again, because this H0 will operate on K0 and will give you En0, and again another En0, then K0, and this was N2, plus we will have K0 H1 N1 minus En1 K0 N1 is equal to 0. So this goes away because this is 0. What we are left with is the following. Sorry. I have written something completely wrong, because H0 on K0 should not be giving us En0. It should be giving us Ek0. That is why we had operated with this with this bra K0, such that we get a different energy eigenvalue. So this is going to give us, this is a number, so it should come out, and what we will get is Ek0 minus En0 K0 N2. This is going to give us En1 K0 N1 minus K0 H1 N1. Therefore, let us write this down. K0 N2 should be something like, we will be dividing by E K0 minus E N0, and on the numerator we will have E N1 K0 N1 minus K0 H1 N1. So this is, and we always should remember that K is not equal to N. So now all we need to do is again to follow the same method that we have done when we have calculated the first order correction to the state. What did we do there? We simply introduced something like this. Let us recall that, let us introduce this summation where K is not equal to N, K0, K0, N2. So what we did here, we have taken this equation and then we have operated this equation, this left hand side and right hand side, we should be operating with sum over ket k naught, where ket k is not equal, where the sum, there is this sum where k is not equal to N. And therefore on the right hand side also we have to introduce this summation where k is not equal to N, and there will be terms like En1 K0 N1, it is just a number, and then ket K0 minus K0 H1 N1 ket K0. And not only that, in the denominator we are having this EK0 minus En0. So we can basically what we can do now is that, am I missing something? K0 N1? No, it's okay. Yeah. So now you remember that this summation over K is identity, unity, but we have chosen K not equal to N. Therefore, what will this K0 quantity be with K not equal to N? It should simply be identity minus N0, because this therefore means that we can write this ket N0 bra N0 plus sum over ket K0 ket bra K0 with K not equal to N as the identity. We just have taken this N thing out of the summation, and what we do is that we use this result here and we substitute this into this. So what we will get now? So we will get this, that identity minus N0 on ket N2, which is nothing but ket N2 minus ket N0 bra N0 N2. But this again is 0 because of orthonormality, therefore this is nothing but N2. So the right hand side that is here, that we have written here, this right hand side of this equation is explicitly nothing but ket N2. So we write this equation again. So this is what we have just seen, just this object is Kate N2 using this here. So Kate N2, it should be sum over K not equal to N. We have N0 let us actually write it down basically because we have many things which we need to substitute. First of all, you see that this En1 we have already calculated from the first order correction. Then there is this Kate N1 which is the first order correction to the states. Those needs to be substituted. So let me write here at the side what are these quantities that we need to substitute. En1 was N0 H1 N0, which our matrix notation, component wise notation will be giving us or writing. We will be using this to write this as H1 NN. What was the expression for N1? We have used this many times now. So it was nothing but P not equal to N, P0 H1 N0 and then P0 divided by En0 minus EP0. Okay, so these are the two results that we are going to use. In fact I should have written this also again using the matrix form, the component form. P not equal to N H1 Pn Kate P0 divided by En0 minus EP0. So I will just replace in this expression, I will replace this by this and I will replace this and this by this, and let us see what we get. So first we have En1. So instead of En1 we are now going to write in the matrix element or the expectation value of H1 in the unperturbed state. Then we have K0 N1, K0 N1 and Kate K0. K0 N1 does not matter because K0 N1 is just a number. And then we have minus Kate K0. This Kate K0 is there. And then we have bra K0 H1 and then this summation. The summation should be H1 Pn Kate P0 divided by En0 minus EP0 within bracket. So let me actually put a divider here, otherwise it will be complicated. Okay, so and then there is this thing in the denominator which is nothing but EK0 minus En0. You could have easily, so this is En, you could have easily asked, sir, why we are using P0 here instead of K0? That answer you have to think. I have used a completely different state. Of course it is a eigenstate in the unperturbed basis, there is no doubt about that, but instead of K0 I have written P0, and you have to tell me why I have written like this. Okay, so that's it. Now let us simplify even further. What we have obtained by this is that we still have not substituted this n1. That also now needs to be substituted. It's a, as I said, it's a cumbersome calculation, but it's just some kind of bookkeeping type of calculation. So the first sum is k not equal to n, and then you have to write here n0 h1 n0 k0 k0, and then this n1 is nothing but sum over k, not k, p not equal to n, h1 pn ket p0 divided by en0 minus ep0, and then minus ket k0 bra k0 h1 pn p0 divided by en0 minus ep0, whole thing divided by ek0 minus en0. We can simplify further. In fact, we have to simplify further. So k not equal to n, we take this summation p not equal to n also outside, and what do we write? This object we should write h1 nn. Then we have ket k0. We have taken this summation out, and we have this matrix element h1 pn. So this bra k0 directly sits with ket p0 and gives us another number which is k0 p0, and then remaining term is h1 pn. What we get in the denominator is now two separate terms. One is ek0 minus en0 times en0 minus ep0. So that is this first term. Then we have the two summations again. One of course was already there. Okay, so this summation, I think there is a confusion. This summation was actually over all these terms. Okay, so this k not equal to n summation was everywhere, so it just carries forward to the second term, k not equal to n, p not equal to n. So we have what we have from the second term. The second term is here. So we have k0, and then k0 h1 directly goes on to act on p0, because h1 pn is just some component, the matrix element, so it doesn't matter where it is placed. So this is giving us again ek0 was the overall thing in the denominator, and another en0 minus ep0. Now we have clearly two different terms for n2, but note one important and interesting thing. What is this object? What is this object k0 p0? This is nothing but delta kp, the Kronecker delta. The fact that k is not equal to n and p is not equal to n does not prevent k from being equal to p. Therefore, this one sum should go away, and what we are remaining with is this thing, we will have k not equal to n. We will have k not equal to n. H1 nn, and then because we have put k is equal to p, I will write it as h1 k n h1 sorry, there is a, yeah, h1 k n, and then divided by en0 minus, sorry, not en0, this is ek0 minus en0 times en0 minus ek0. That's what it is, with, of course, ket k0, this one sitting there. So we have used one delta function, one Kronecker delta, therefore this sum p not equal to n goes away, and this is the first term. Second term, therefore, is there will be two summations, no Kronecker delta to help us here. We have h1, this object is h1 kp, the second one is h1 pn, the matrix element, divided by ek0 minus en0 into en0 minus ep0, and then we have one ket k0. We can simplify this further. How can we simplify this further? See, we can write this as minus k not equal to n h1 kn h1 nn, because these are just the matrix elements, I can interchange them, e n0 minus ek0. I have changed one signature, one sign here, and taken that minus sign out and written this as en0 minus ek0 whole square, and then ket k0. And the second term will have both the summations with k not equal to n and p not equal to n. We will have h1 kp h1 pn divided by en0 minus ek0 into en0 minus ep0. Note that here also there is a sign change. Earlier it was minus sign, I have written it like plus here, just because I have again changed the sign here. So this therefore is your second order correction to energy eigen states, and this expression therefore we have derived, so you can check whatever your results are. So now since k is not equal to n and n is not equal to p, as you might be understanding by now, that there is no problem with the denominator, and if we have degeneracies we need to do something more, and that we will be coming next. Yeah, sorry, I think I missed this. Oops, ket k0 there should be a ket k0 also. Yeah, so now there are few things that I need to tell you. You do a perturbation expansion, that is you expand n and en in powers of lambda. Now you could actually stop at first order, you could stop at second order, or you could stop at third order. Everything is depending on how much the successive term in this expansion is contributing. So depending on that, you can decide where to truncate the series by looking at the successive orders contribution to your result. Now, if you are working with problems where the higher order terms contribute significantly, then the perturbative approach is not going to help. And typically, the place where this happens in the case of strong interaction. That means the strong nuclear force. So you must be knowing by now that there are four fundamental forces in nature: gravity, electromagnetism, strong force, and weak force. In the strong force cases, this is typically the case that if you are doing a perturbative expansion, then the higher order terms contribute significantly in those expansions. So therefore those perturbative expansions are not valid, and you cannot do a perturbative calculation when you have forces which are like nuclear forces or strong interactions. On the other hand, the perturbation is a very useful technique when you deal with electromagnetic interactions. Now, this is very interesting because the strength with which electromagnetic interactions takes place between the charged particles, you know that the electromagnetic interactions are taking place between the charged particles, and the strength is basically determined by something which you all know, which is denoted by this alpha, which is called the fine structure constant, whose value is 1 by 137. And in terms of the electron charge and the Planck's constant and speed of light, this is given by E square by hc. Now this one can choose, this alpha can be chosen as the parameter for perturbative expansions when you are dealing with electromagnetic interactions. Because alpha is 1 by 137, that means it is small. Therefore subsequent these alpha square, alpha cube order terms are even smaller, and you can actually do a very good perturbative expansion when you have electromagnetic interactions or EM interactions. In fact, this was the basis of all the calculations of that one does in quantum electrodynamics. So that's where the importance of perturbation or perturbative series lies. So let me stop here, and we will solve lot of problems in the next class.